Hi loves and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm getting into some issues with my designer bags that, don't bother me enough to get rid of them, obviously, but they're things you should be aware of if you're looking at investing in these designer bags. I've seen this video going around on many channels, so I will link some of the ones I've seen below. I don't know who started this, so it's just kind of going around. I wanted to give my take on this for the bags that I have in my collection, and hopefully this can be helpful for you in case you're looking into some of these bags. So let's just get right into it. We'll start off with the one that pretty much everyone is talking about in these videos, and that is the classic flap. I have a few issues with this bag. One is the length of the strap. I find that it's not long enough to go crossbody. I'm 5'6" tall, and yes, I can get it over my head, but it sits kind of like this, and it's very uncomfortable. So I really wouldn't consider this a crossbody bag. I know some shorter ladies can wear it crossbody. Even when I see this medium-sized crossbody on someone shorter, it still just looks a little off. Like, it's really only a shoulder bag, and I feel like for the price point, the strap should really be longer to give you versatility, especially now after the price rise and this being $6,800 US. I think that that's way too expensive for like a one function bag. Yes, you can wear it like long strap on the shoulder or doubled up on the shoulder. I don't think that's enough versatility for the price point for me. The next issue I have with this is the double flap. This bag is from 2004, so you can really see the wear and tear over time. This pinch in here tends to happen because getting this like buttoned is really a pain, and especially if you don't have it packed full of stuff. A lot of the times I do leave it open when I'm using the bag, because snapping that every single time I want to get in and out of this bag, it's just really annoying. So that is something that over time, you can see here you get these kind of little dents, and that's just simply from like pushing and getting that flap closed properly. It's something on the inside, so it doesn't bother me enough that I would say like, oh, that makes the bag not worth it. Definitely not. And these bags do hold up really well over time if you take care of them. Next thing I really want to mention is that for the price, I really would not call this a medium bag. It doesn't really hold everything I want it to hold for day-to-day use. It's very boxy, and because it's so structured and holds its shape, you don't want to pack it so full that it bulges and loses this beautiful shape. So that means like to pack it properly where there's no bulging involved, I definitely have to pare down my items. That makes me not really consider this a daily use bag. Some people collect these and this is like their favorite style bag that they use all the time. But for me, I could never see myself having multiple classic flaps, especially at the price point that they are. I just don't find the functionality of them. I think one is enough, and I find other styles much more functional than this style. I recommend the Coco handle in the medium size. I'll link my review above here so you can see how functional it is and how much it fits inside. I think that that is more of a daily use bag than this is. The next bag on my list is the pochette metis. And this is a very popular bag. Mine is a seasonal style, but you can get this just plain without like the little decals and patches. A couple of things that really annoy me. Now, I want to start this out by saying this is one of the most functional and practical bags in my collection, and I think it's one of the most perfect bags for daily use. If you don't pack this bag completely full, pushing this in can be an issue. Like, you really push into it. It's very easy to get out of, but you want to make sure that when you use this bag, to avoid pushing into it, that you really pack this bag, has something to kind of press against. I don't find it to be a huge issue because I tend to have enough stuff to pack it out. But if you are gonna get this bag and you're gonna just pop a few things in there and run out the door and it's not really packed full, you're gonna find that this is annoying and it might take two hands to get it closed. And the next issue I have is the vachetta leather. Especially in the climate here, I find that my vachetta leather turns dark very quickly. Even when I have a twilly, I always have a twilly on this handle. But if you don't like that look of the vachetta leather getting darker, which is going to happen with vachetta leather, I would really recommend you going for the en prompt version in a dark color, because that way you're not going to have this vachetta leather on it. I do have a review comparing my canvas and my en prompt one, so I'll link it above. And I will say, now that it's been more time, I am looking to sell my en prompt one because I just don't find it as functional as the canvas. This one is much more durable. Even though the vachetta doesn't look like new, I still prefer this version over the en prompt. But if the vachetta isn't such an issue for you that you wouldn't buy the bag because of it, I think a black version of the en prompt, or maybe the navy version of the en prompt, is a nice option, because that one you don't have to worry about color transfer as much. Mine is in the pink, and I find the light color in the en prompt is just like not versatile enough, and I have to be too careful with it. So you have some options there to kind of work around and see like which pros and cons work for you and your wardrobe. But I did want to mention those two things because this is a very popular bag that people are still looking to add to their collection. The next bag I want to mention is actually a seasonal style, but there's a reason I'm mentioning this one. This is the Chanel seasonal style in a calfskin. And I'm mentioning this because of the durability of the calfskin. When I bought this bag in the store, they told me that the calfskin was more durable than lambskin, but not quite as durable as the caviar leather. And I don't know that I agree with that statement. I find this to be just as delicate as my lambskin bags. Any Chanel bag with these kind of pointed corners is very susceptible to corner wear. I'm not sure if it's gonna come up on camera, but I don't find myself using this as much because I find that the corner wear is a little like concerning for me, and I want the bag to look as nice as possible. I also have a mark on the top of this that I really need to try to get off, but this is one of those that like I haven't cleaned it off yet. I'm terrified of ruining this bag. I just feel like I know the 19 comes in a calfskin, and I know some of the more popular styles come in calfskin. I just wanted to mention that I really don't find it more durable than lambskin. It is quite a delicate leather, and I would never buy a medium-sized bag in the calfskin again. I would really recommend going for a caviar leather over a calfskin or a lambskin for your daily use bag. The next bag is the On The Go. I love the On The Go because it's a really nice alternative to the Neverfull. The Neverfull is quite a common bag, and a lot of people have it. It's considered a classic bag as well. So if you want something a little different but you want a quality tote, I really think the On The Go is a really nice option. Just to be aware, even though it has these straps on it, they're very thin. And when you pack this full with your laptop and all of your stuff, maybe you're using this as a travel bag, it gets very heavy and these can dig in. The one good thing about the On The Go versus the Neverfull is that it has these little like rings here where the strap is attached. You could potentially add a thick strap that has like a little clip on it, and you could clip it like here and here, like opposite, so the bag is balanced and it's not getting misshapen. And you always do have these handle straps, which are really handy for when the bag gets super heavy. I really like this option compared to the Neverfull because the Neverfull doesn't have these little handles, so if it does get heavy, taking it off of your shoulder is an option. But I wanted to mention that because I really feel like this is a travel bag, and when you're traveling you're going to pack it full of a ton of stuff and it can get quite heavy. That's something you really should be aware of. The next bag on my list is my Chanel Trendy CC Mini Walk. I think that's the entire name. It's got a long one. Even though this is a little bag and you don't really think of it for functionality, there are two issues with this that can get a little annoying. Occasionally, this flap can go a little like wonky, depending on how you have it stuffed. So if you can see, it can kind of move a bit like this. You wouldn't think you'd have to think about weight balance in this bag, but if it does get off and like one side is super heavy versus the other, when it hangs on your shoulder, this little flap can kind of move. It's not a huge issue, but it can happen, and you just kind of have to adjust it and kind of like push everything around a little bit and it sorts it out. The next issue is this hole at the top. You're gonna put a perfume sample in here or some change or something like that. Those very teeny tiny items that are like this big. If your bag falls over, it can fall out. When I wear crossbody, you really don't have to think about, but it's something, if you're gonna wear this bag on the shoulder, you really have to be aware of, and you really have to be conscious of like your bag not swinging around. The next bag on my list is the Balenciaga City. This is a size small. Something that really annoys me, and there's two ways to fix this, is this long freaking thing. I believe on my medium I cut this short, because even if you cut it by half, it's still so long. But another thing you can do is kind of unzip this pouch and tuck it inside and like zip it back. Then you can't really use the pocket. So if you don't like this big long tassel thing, it's unfinished leather anyways. You can just cut it at the end and make it shorter. I wanted to mention that because I do find that this can like get caught in things. Now, you might want to be sure that you're going to keep this in your collection, because if you sell it, I don't know how much that would affect the value in this bag. Some people might say that like the slouching and the wear in this over time can be a flaw, but I really think it just adds to the style of the bag. The bag is now almost 6 years old and it looks great. The next bag on my list is the Chanel Coco handle in the size small. This bag, I feel, is meant to be a crossbody bag, yet the strap is only a shoulder strap length. I have mentioned in another video a little hack for this. I'll pop that video up here if you want to see like how it looks on with the pearl strap. But you can add like a little pearl extender to one or each side so it's even to make this a crossbody length. And I really think this looks so lovely crossbody. I don't know why they've done this bag with such a short strap. Link some of my favorite Etsy shops in the description below for the little extenders. You can add a pearl one, you can add a chain one. There are really options depending on, you know, what your vibe is for this bag. I find this quite girly and feminine anyway, so I love the look of a little pearl extender on here. But that is something that I just think was a big design flaw in making this bag. Like, why would you make such a teeny tiny cute mini bag and then give it a strap that's like, it cannot like fit with this not being like up here. The next bag on my list is my Vicky. Now I have a full review on this bag, so I'll pop that above if you want to check out a detailed review there. But this bag is very, very heavy. That is one thing I have to say. It is a gorgeous bag. It's a great alternative to the Chanel Jumbo. It's less than half the price. Jumbo is also heavy as well, but this one is mostly due to this really thick chain strap. It's just ridiculously heavy, and when you pack this full of items, it can really wear on you. But the good thing is that's not on the Chanel Jumbo is that you have this leather pad, a nice thick leather strap, and it really does help distribute the weight over your shoulder a little bit better. And this can fit crossbody. So if you put this crossbody with the shoulder pad, the weight distribution is a lot better than a Chanel Jumbo, but it is a heavy bag. So if you like a lightweight bag, this might not be for you. There's one other thing I want to mention. This snap closure, it's always like a fiddle to get it closed. The magnet is decently strong, but when there's stuff in there and the weight of the bag kind of shifts around, this can be a bit of a fiddle to like get it closed. The last flaw I have for this bag is that because it's patent and shiny, it shows every little fingerprint. You do have to wipe this down a lot. Like I just use like a white dry cloth and just kind of get the fingerprints off of it. You want to be really careful if you have lotion or hand sanitizer. You want to let your hands really dry before you go and get back into your bag. Now I want to mention the Coco handle in the medium size, and this is for different reasons than the small size Coco handle. So with this one, you have to be really careful about getting in and out of it. If you force this backwards too much, you can see that crease that can potentially form. You don't really see it when it's closed. Like the crease is not really there. But if you are rough with this bag over time and you continually push this back rather than like setting it down and opening it like this, that could potentially happen to this bag. It really depends on how you care for this bag, if that's going to happen over time. I try to be very careful not to do that. I just did it on camera for the example, but I don't do that in my daily life when opening and closing this bag. So it's something that if you want your bag to remain more perfect, that you have to be a little conscious of when using it. Another thing you have to be careful of is storage and usage over time. You can get some sagging in these front corners. I store mine like this. I'm going to open it really wide again. So under here is the dust bags, and this is dust bags as well, and they're stuffed all the way down in the corners so that when it's sitting on my shelf, there's no way for this to buckle because I've stuffed out the corners. You want to make sure it's a nice balance of not overstuffing it or understuffing it to really shape that out. I've also gotten a base shaper for this, which I think is really going to help in the long run to help the corner sagging, which I'll also link in the description below. I got mine from an Etsy seller. There are 2 pieces, one for each pocket, so it goes in this piece and in this piece, and it really just helps shape out the corners so you don't have that sagging when you're using it. And this is one that I like to make sure that as soon as I'm done using it, I get all of my stuff out of it and I stuff it and store it properly. A little bit of sagging I'm okay with. I think it's part of the style of the bag for it to settle down a little bit, but I just want to prevent any extreme sagging by doing everything I can to make sure that the corners are taken care of. The last bag I'm going to talk about today is my Chanel wallet on a chain. I know a lot of my audience is looking at wallet on a chain, so I really wanted to mention 2 flaws. One is the chain is not adjustable. This chain is just fixed. Yes, you could take a ribbon inside and tie it like this so that when it comes out, it's not as long, but you're kind of limited on how that works. Some people just loop the chain. Personally, wouldn't do the loop option too often, especially if it's full, because you could start seeing like dents in the sides here. It really isn't like a good way to properly shorten this chain for like everyday use. I would say if you're gonna get this bag, you want to make sure that you're kind of okay with the length. The second flaw is this like dent that you get. So this zipper will go into the leather. I have 2 wallet on a chains. This one, they gave me the little pad. I don't know why they didn't give me the little pad that helps the zipper not make that dent. I don't feel gets the dent because there's a tiny bit of space here versus here it's a little tighter. Actually, because the button closures are a little bit different here. I think it's because they're from different collections. This one is like a snap, and this one I think has a bit of a magnet to it. Depending on what style of wallet on a chain you get, if you get the magnetic closure, I don't think that that dent is as pronounced, but if you get the snap closure like this one, the dent can be there, and that just happens over time. It doesn't really bother me. It's on the inside, but over time that is something just to be aware of that can happen. Third thing that bothers me a little bit with this bag that you also have to be careful of, like the coco handle, is if you force this back, you see this like creasing at the top, you want to be really gentle about opening and closing this. You don't want to hold the bag like this full of stuff from the flap. Any bag, even the classic flap that has that curved shape at the top, when you're opening and closing it, if you're ever forcing it back or forcing it farther than it should go, you can run the risk of getting a crease in it. So it's not really a flaw of any particular bag, more so about how you use it and how gentle you are with opening and closing your bag that will help prevent that in the long run. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you know that this doesn't mean that I think the bags are bad. I'm just trying to be super overcritical of them. So if you're getting yours for the first time, aware of these things that can happen over time with the bag. By no means does this mean I would sell these bags off or I wouldn't buy them again. Many of them I've bought multiple, even knowing these flaws. It's just kind of like, you know, choosing a partner. Nobody is perfect, and you just have to find the flaws that work for you in your life, you know, the flaws that you can accept in your usage of the bag. Take this with a grain of salt. Don't be discouraged if you're interested in these bags. Just be aware and know how you can kind of prevent these things or live with these things or be okay with them if you are going to purchase the bag. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram to see how I style my bags, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!